Everything will be okay. August 6, 2002. A little girl was born named Vivian Giselle Fletes. She was born to a couple which are named Ramona and Gabriel. Ramona was a sort of short lady around the height of 5'1" that was not too chunky but a selfless woman, and also an achiever for what she wanted. Meanwhile, Gabriel was a tall but chunky man, around the height of 5'6", who was funny, outgoing, and hardworking. But both parents were raised in working class homes, which meant they were raised around seeing people selling drugs. Oh, but gunshots were no problem. They were music to their ears. They were also obligated to do adult things at a young age, especially because that was a common way of life for Latinos. When I came along, my mother decided she wanted to do better in life and upgrade jobs, so she took a CNA program, which she later graduated from, and then became a social worker for seniors. While my father was an auto mechanic, he was an alcoholic and drug abuser. I guess this was his way of coping with the death of his older brother. So as you may already guess, my mom was a single parent since I was just a couple months old, meaning I was fatherless for about half of my life. Although he would come around maybe once or twice a month, in 2008, around the month of April, my father decided he wanted to finally be a father to his 6-year-old estranged daughter. From what I remember, he would take me to the river in his lifted trucks, which for the most part smelled like a sewer, exposing the smell of a rotten egg. We would go riding quads, which sounded like my bike when I would put a water bottle on the back tire. We would go to Chuck E. Cheese a lot, where it was always noisy and smelled like sweat, as if we were in an onion farm. We would go visit his friends with very loud music from a Mexican artist named Chalino Sanchez, who wrote many narco corridos and much more memories. But just as everything was becoming a fairy tale for me, it was crushed on January 15, 2009. My mom received a call that her brother had been shot by police officers outside of his auto body shop and was airlifted to San Jose. So as she was rushing to San Jose, she received the call that my father and his sister were shot outside their home, and my father was pronounced deceased. The next day, my mother called me to the living room, as she was surrounded by a family friend, her children, and my grandmother, and said, "Mija, sit down, I need to talk to you," as her voice slowly cracked. I then sat down and asked, "What, Mom?" She then told me, "I need to talk to you about something important." And so I looked at her, waiting for her to explain to me what was so important. Then I had seen a tear come out of her eye, which made me very confused. She then exclaimed, "Your daddy died yesterday. He's not here anymore." And she continued to cry. I tried taking it like a champ. I knew what it meant for someone to die, so everyone around me hugged me and gave me support. But later that night, I walked into my mom's room crying because I wanted my dad. I did not want him to be dead. I wanted him back. Then a couple weeks later, my step-cousin decides it's okay to do inappropriate stuff to me. As the years went by, my mom was always my mother and father, not only for me, but my siblings as well. My mom has 3 girls and 1 adopted son, but as I mentioned above, she was very selfless. So while her younger brother went to prison for 8 years, she raised his 2 kids since before he went into prison till now, so I would count them as my siblings too, due to the fact that they lived with me for a long period of time, almost my whole life. My mom was always a sister, cousin, daughter, aunt, niece, mom, or friend that if you needed something, she was there a second after you would have told her. And until this day, she remains the same. My mom's heart has the warmth of the summer in Arizona, the size of the universe, and the patience I have to arrive to school every morning before the first bell. But even though my mom was a remarkable woman, I decided to get off my assigned path and do stupid things with people who I believed were my friends. But I thought it was perfectly fine because they were good friends of my father's, so why would they cause any harm to me, right? No, wrong. They did not care. As I was there being an ignorant person, I come to find out my father was an ex-gang member, or at least that's what I was told. So I had a little anger towards my mother for not telling me, so I kept on doing dumb stuff. It came to the point where I told my mother in her face, "I wish you were not my mother. I want my grandma to adopt me. I don't want you." As I was under the influence. My mother tried to act okay. All she had said after that was, "I will try and complete your wishes, but I don't promise you anything." I knew it hurt her deep inside because she would give her life for me, but at this time I didn't care. I left my house and spent the night with the cousin. I was okay. I acted as if nothing happened. Then I came to realize, although I went through a lot of stuff in my life, didn't mean I had to end up dead or out in the streets doing ignorant stuff, because I was raised better than that. But I had the belief that a good amount of teenagers, maybe about 6 out of 10, that get involved with the wrong crowd, use drugs, drink alcohol, make bad decisions, or other inappropriate things. But I am really lucky to have the support of my mother and family that took me off that path, because not all kids have the support that I had, and that is the reason why they end up in bad situations.